welcome to the channel. My name's Annie and this is my creative detour. Today I'm going to be doing a tutorial on how to make this new art journal. I've created this art journal so that it can be pulled apart, you can take the pages out, you can work on each individual sheet. So if that sounds interesting to you, let's get started. Well, I decided that I needed a new art journal to play in for the prompts from Meg Francis from megjournals. Now, some of you would know Meg from doing prompts for Junk Journal January and Junk Journal July, but she's brought out this new prompt idea called Catalysts and Curiosities. Now, she brought it out at the beginning of May and gave some prompts for that. I will put Meg's link below and you'll be able to watch her first video introducing Catalysts and Curiosities. And in the video, she talks about the reasons behind doing that. And this really intrigued me, this new idea that she's doing, mainly because it's slow journaling. So you have time to process some of the prompts and the ideas, just sort of think about it for a few days. Now, she releases it once every 2 weeks, and she gives you a prompt. So the first one is connection. And then she also gives you some snippets, so some quotes to think about, some elements, different things to use, and some colors. So I won't go into those because you really need to head over to Meg's video to see that. But it looks really interesting and I'm super excited to have found it and be doing it. So I decided I needed a new art journal, and I have made something like this before, but as a journal to write in or a notebook. And I just thought that I wanted to do it like this because the sizing of it is perfect. You can either do something in it or it will fit so that it can be used as a 4x6 cutout or cut apart, and then you can use it to make a card with it or make some artwork or something like that. So it just means that the journal can be pulled apart and then put back together however you want it to be put back together, but also you can work in it. So I'll head into the tutorial, and if you're interested in that, I will be going through all of the sizing for all of the components, how to make it and construct it. And then at the end, I will do a walkthrough of all of the papers and how I put them together and what they look like as well. So let's get started on the tutorial. I'm going to run through the materials to make the cover. Now, you'll need some chipboard. My chipboard is 1.2 millimeters thick, which is quite thin. You don't want it too thick. I think that's even less than 1/16 of an inch. It might be somewhere between 1/32 and 1/16, so not really thick. So let's run through the sizes. You'll need one piece that is 5 inches by 7 inches, which is 12.7 by 17.8 centimeters. You'll need one piece that is 6 inches by 7 inches, which is 15.2 by 17.8 centimeters. And you'll need one piece that is 3/4 of an inch by 7 inches, which is 1.9 by 17.8 centimeters. We'll go through the paper or cardstock that you need to cover your chipboard. I'm using a craft cardstock and it's 176 GSM, which is around about 65 pounds, so it's not super thick. I want it to be able to wrap around. So let's go through the sizes. You'll need one piece that is 3 3/4 inches by 9 inches, which is 9.5 by 22.9 centimeters. You'll need one piece that is 7 by 9 inches, which is 17.8 by 22.9 centimeters. And you'll need one piece that is 8 inches by 9 inches, which is 20.3 by 22.9 centimeters. One piece that is 4 7/8 by 6 7/8, which is 12.3 by 17.4 centimeters. And you'll need one piece that is 5 7/8 by 6 7/8, and it's 14.8 by 17.4 centimeters. Hopefully you got all those down. You can see here that I've already covered one of the pieces. So I've covered the back, which is this 6 by 7 chipboard, and that has been covered in the 8 by 9 piece of cardstock. So I'll pop that to the side because that's spare for me now. So that's done. So for the front, we're using chipboard that is 5 by 7, and we're covering it in a piece of cardstock that is 7 by 9. And you can see that I've already put on it, I'll just move it so that the glare doesn't show, I've put on it some double-sided tape. Okay, so we'll just peel that off. And I'm just going to center that and burnish it down. And run my bone folder around the edge. Just find the edge of it and run it around. And on the other side, I'm just going to use the tip of my bone folder and just score it a little bit. And then I'm going to fold it and work the paper so that it likes to fold in both directions. Now I'm just going to cut across on the miter, but you'll see that I'm leaving about 1/8 of an inch or about 3 to 4 millimeters on the corner. I don't want to cut right to the corner. So do that all around. Now you can use some double-sided tape if you like. I'm just going to use art glitter glue because I really want it to grab. And I'm going to do the sides first. I run a bead of glue up to the edge of the board and then along, and I'm going to just spread it right to the edge, and then I'm going to burnish that down. And as I burnish, I'm going to squeeze a little bit out and let it fall over the edge of the chipboard, fall over the end. I have a cloth here, but I want it to actually go into this corner. You see how it's pooling in that corner? Just give that a bit more of a burnish. Okay, I want it to pool in the corner. You see how it's pooling there in the corners? I want it to do that. And that's because I'm going to get my bone folder and I'm going to push on the corner from the side and bend it in. I'll show you. I want this corner, which is 9.5 by 22.9, and we're going to glue that down. You can see that I have double-sided tape on this. Now where you want to position this is you want to put it further, not in the middle, you want to put it further to the left. I've put it about 2.5 centimeters in from the left hand edge, which is around about 1 inch. Okay, so pop that in, and we're going to do the same thing again with burnishing around it. So run your bone folder all the way around it on the good side, and then a little bit of your point, like that, and then start folding it. And you want to fold, carefully do the ends. Once you've done that, turn it over again and run around it again with your bone folder on the good side, on the face. Okay, so now we're going to cut a few pieces out. We want to cut out along the line here. You can see that, along the line there. But we don't want to cut on the line here. We want to cut to the left around about 1/2 centimetre, or let's say 1/8 of an inch. And then do the same on every corner. So you can see that it's wider than what our chipboard is, this little flap. We want it to be wider. Okay, so then what we're going to do is we're going to put glue on it. We're going to glue those 2 end bits in. And you're going to give them a really good burnish down. Then turn it over and do it from the good side on each one. Let that dry just for a little bit, and then we're going to just snip a few little things on it so that it works better. Okay, mine's dry. So what I want to point out to you is you'll see that some of the bits on the ends are sticking out a little bit. We want to put our scissors and butt it up to the chipboard, and then just cut on the slightest miter. Turn it over, do the other side. You'll see that I've cut it so that it's got the slightest miter and it's nice and neat now. So we'll do that again. Butt your scissors up to the chipboard and cut very slight miter. Turn it over to do the other side. Same thing, butt your scissors up. And you can see that my miter is very, very slight. So now we can put it together. So just run your bone folder around that again. Now what we want to do is we want to get our front and back to match. So if you lay your back down like this and your 2 pieces of your front, if you push this up to it, you'll see that, and line it up, we've got a gap here, and that's because we need that gap for the front to work. What we want to do is we want to line it up and just get your pencil, and there should be a gap of around about just under 1/4 of an inch. So I'm just going to get my pencil and put a little bit of a mark so I can see where to glue. Okay, I've put a mark there. Now I'm going to not put the glue up to that. I'm going to keep the glue away from that, at least 1/8 of an inch away from it, or 3 millimeters away from it. And I'm going to run glue on the thin side. So we've got a wide side and a narrow side. On the narrow side, that's what we're using. Put your glue down and then get your front and just drag that leading edge through the glue a little bit, just to get a little bit of glue on the edge. And then put it up to your pencil mark. And then bring your back in and line it up so it's nice and level. So get it level top and bottom and side to side, and then you can move this off and burnish that down. We'll wipe that off. We don't want too much ooze coming out on the front. So while the glue's wet, this is a really important part of it. So while it's wet, we need to bend the paper backwards, okay, because that's where we need our front of our journal to open. So we actually need to bend it the other way first. Okay, so we don't need it to bend this way. You don't need to bend it that way at all. It's not going to ever work that way. It's always going to work this way. So bend it backwards. Make sure that you've really burnished that and taught the paper to do that. Now what we also need to do is we need to bend this piece over. And we're going to glue that down, but there's a few things we need to do with that before we can rush ahead. So we've got this working nicely. You can see that this is going to be our front now, and it's going to open up beautifully. Okay, but we want to cover all this mess. So we're going to use this side here to cover it all over and make it nice and neat. But if we just glue it flat, that's going to restrict it from bending back again. So let's put some glue in, and you kind of need to work it while the glue's wet. I'm going to put a bead of glue down through the edge here and all around the edge, all around the perimeter of the flap. And I'm also going to run a bead of glue along in this groove as well. Just going to spread the edge out. Now run a little bit of a bead down through the middle on that narrow piece and fold it over. But we want to very quickly open. Now that you've got that bent back, you can now really burnish that down well. Okay, so open it up and push into that crease as well. Both sides, making sure that it opens up and that it's burnished down. There we go. So we can see that we have our front, it's opening up nicely, it's bending back nice and flat. The crease here is nicely set. The groove at the back is set as well. So just let that dry for a bit. So now we can cover this. So I'm going to get my piece of cardstock that is 4 7/8 by 6 7/8, and I'm going to glue that on the front to tidy that up. And the same for the back. Give that a burnish. There we go. So there we have our back and our front, and the front opens lovely. Okay. So now let's put some eyelets in that. I have just got a scrap piece of cardstock that it's 7 inches long, and I've pinched it in the middle. I got my large hole punch and punched 2 holes in it. And the reason I did that is because I want it to be at a standard size. So just come in and put a mark around about a line around about 1/2 inch from the side, which is 1.3 centimeters. So just come in, you can see I've marked it. I also have these. I want to line that up and put them through the middle of the holes and put a little cross on it. And so that's where I know I've got to use my crocodile and put a hole in. So I'm using the big hole, and the reason we don't want it centered is we want it as close as possible to the turning edge. So before you put your eyelets in, just erase your marks. I'm just using some silver eyelets. I wish I had gold ones, but I've run out. And I'm just going to set those. Now we use that to mark our back. Now with your back, put it the way it's going to be in your journal. So the inside on the inside, outside on the outside. Line it up, and I'm just going to draw a little circle, and then I can punch it. Okay, so pop those eyelets into the back and set those in. So there we go, that matches up beautifully. Okay, so now we have our papers. I cut my papers so that there was enough excess here for it to go into this binding system. But I also wanted this size here so that it was big enough for me to be able to put a 4x6 image on it, or so that I could take these out and cut them and they became a 4x6 piece of artwork if I wanted to use them. So what I've done is, you can see that I've punched holes in it, so all you have to do is line one of those up with where you want it, and I've got it fairly well centered, and I marked one and then used it to be my template to punch all of the holes. You can see that the page size is 14 by 16.5 centimeters. Now some of the pages are doubled. This one here opens out, but all I did was I joined some of my pages together. Actually, let's go through some of these papers now. So pick whatever papers you want. I've pulled some papers out of some old books or some junk mail or drawing books. So a mixture of papers. And you can see that some of them are scraps that I've joined together. So this is from one book, this is from another book, and this is from another book. They're all from different books. And I've just put them together because I liked the combinations of them. Similarly here, I've got 3 different pieces of paper and from different books. Same here, I've got one page here that's from one book, this is from another, and this is from another. This one here, I've made it a little bit bigger. So this was the width. You can see that this is the ripped out page from the book. And this has got a straight edge on it. So this is the actual edge of the page. And instead of cutting it off, I've just folded it over and left it in there. I'm not sure whether I'm going to do a composition on that whole piece of paper, or whether I'm going to use it as a pocket, or whether I'm going to cut it off, but I've left it so that it gives me some options down the track. Now these darker pages, I will probably do a gesso wash over that, or I might put some tissue paper over it just to pull it back a little bit. But I've just got them in there because I liked them at the moment. I love this texture on this image. I liked it with the contrast of the typography here. You can see that this was a bit of leftover scrap that got torn off, and I ended up joining it to this one, and you can see that the hole punches here, this is joined together and I've just punched through it. Now I may take this out and use this whole spread as my surface to do my artwork on, but I don't have to. If I want to, I can tear it down, separate it, and just have 2 separate pieces of paper. I don't have to have them joined. So I just selected papers that went together. I loved this fungus image. I loved the color variations in it. This one here, you can see that it was joined together, but I decided that I wanted to separate it. I may still do it as a single spread, but I may not. I may move it around. And that's the great thing about this journal. You can move whatever pages you want in and out of it at any time. If you don't like some of the surfaces that you've picked, you can put different ones in. If we get a prompt that none of the images or the pages that I've put in here work with, I can select another piece of paper or select some sort of surface that I do like and pop it in. So just different pages, quite a few blanks with a texture. So once again, I'll probably put some gesso on this, and white gesso or some tissue paper, or I may collage onto it and just leave some of it showing. I've got options. You can see here that this is quite a combination of different materials. This is out of a illustrated dictionary. This is out of one book, and then this is out of a different book. And I've just glued them all together. This one here is the same in that it has a flap. This one I've glued together. A bit of Shakespeare. Some nice signage. Coffee, tea, coffee and chocolate. What more could you want? Some more typography. Some patterns. Some more of Shakespeare. Just a mixture of different images, just so that there's something on the page. Some of them are blank. There's a blank one. And I can move those blank ones around, if I want them in a different location. Some more of the fungus. Some text. So a nice collection of papers. There's the size of the papers again. Now I do have some leather thread that you can use, or you could use some seam binding or some twine, or you could use one of those metal file folder bendy metal fixings if you wanted to. Now this length of leather measures approximately 2 feet, 24 inches, and for the metric people that's around about 61 centimeters. I'm just going to pop that through and thread all my papers on. So through the back first. Okay, so I've got my papers in. I'm just going to put the front cover on. I'm pulling it fairly tightly, and that's why I wanted to use the leather. I'll get my tweezers to be my third hand. Now I'm not going to cut that down for the moment, because I may want to switch out some papers or put more papers in. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't need to be cut down. It can be a bit longer. And you'll notice that I haven't decorated the front or the back cover, and that's because I want to just wait for a little bit until we've done a few prompts in this journal, so that the journal can kind of give me a bit of an idea of what it looks like, so what its characteristics are. So I will decorate the front of this maybe in 2-3 months time, maybe 6 months time. I'm not sure, but at the moment I'm really happy with it. And you can see that it opens up nicely. You can flick through, choose which page you want to work with. Now you can open it up and put a bulldog clip on it if you want to, and clip it open and work on your page, or you can undo it and just pull it open flat. Let it have some slack, and you might decide I'm going to work on this whole spread. And you don't have to pull everything out. You can have it laying flat while you're working on it, and then once it's dry, you can close it up and tie a bow back in your front front of your journal. Or if you want to take your pages out while you're working on them, you can. So it just gives a bit more flexibility. Okay, so there's my journal that I created for Catalysts and Curiosities. I hope you like the journal, and you'll be getting to see it quite often as I'm working through it. We'll see how it goes. I've not worked in one of these journals before. I have made something similar as a journal that you just write in, but not as an art journal. So it'll be interesting to see how it works. In my mind, I kind of like the idea of it, but in reality, it might not work, and we'll discover that together. Yeah, I'm excited to get started on the challenge. I haven't obviously done my first one, but I know exactly what I'm going to be doing. So check back with me in a few days' time, and you'll be able to watch my first addition to this new journal. So thank you very much for watching today. If you liked the journal and the video, give it a thumbs up and think about subscribing. And yeah, check out Meg's channel, or the link will be below with the introduction to the Catalysts and Curiosities, to see what it's all about. So thanks again for watching. I will see you all very soon. Bye for now.